On a dark tarmac in Ohio in June 2017, a medical transport plane touched down carrying a 22-year-old American college student. He was returning from a brief New Year's holiday in a state of unresponsive wakefulness, unable to speak, move, or interact with his family. Before this trip, Otto Warmbier lived a remarkably bright and normal life in suburban Cincinnati. He was known among his peers as a studious, popular teenager with an intense curiosity about the world. He graduated high school as salutatorian in 2013, which earned him a spot at the University of Virginia, where he pursued a demanding double major in commerce and economics. Intrigued by foreign cultures, he decided to travel to North Korea during a study abroad layover. He booked the trip through Young Pioneer Tours, a China-based budget operator that specifically marketed the tightly controlled nation as a safe, edgy destination for Western tourists. He approached the trip as a culturally enriching adventure. He had no way of knowing he was entering a totalitarian state where standard legal protections do not exist and where foreign visitors are routinely monitored. This chronological map tracks the beginning of his journey on December 29, 2015, as Warmbier and a group of 10 other U.S. citizens boarded a flight from Beijing. Upon landing in Pyongyang, the tour group stepped into a strictly surveilled environment. Every movement was guided, scheduled, and monitored by state handlers. The group celebrated New Year's Eve among the crowds in Kim Il-sung Square before returning to the Yanggakdo International Hotel, where several tourists continued drinking into the early hours of the morning. According to North Korean authorities, just before 2 a.m. on January 1st, Warmbier entered a restricted, staff-only area on the second floor of the hotel and attempted to remove a political propaganda banner from a wall. The following day, January 2nd, the group arrived at Pyongyang International Airport to leave the country. As they waited for their flight, 2 guards silently approached Warmbier, tapped him on the shoulder, and led him away. His roommate later recalled that Warmbier offered a half-smile as he was detained. The rest of the tour group departed safely. In a matter of minutes, a paying tourist accused of a minor property infraction was absorbed into the state security apparatus. For 6 weeks, the North Korean government refused to explain the exact nature of his detention. Then, on February 29, 2016, they broke their silence. Authorities placed a visibly distressed Warmbier in front of television cameras. Reading from a prepared script, he confessed to attempting to steal the poster, claiming he had plotted the act on behalf of a hometown Methodist church and a secret society at the University of Virginia. On March 16th, Warmbier was brought before North Korea's Supreme Court. The entire legal proceeding lasted exactly 1 hour. The prosecution's case relied on the televised confession, a low-resolution CCTV video timestamped at 1:57 a.m., a single fingerprint, and a brief statement from a hotel staff member. The court convicted him of subversion against the state. The judge handed down a sentence of 15 years of imprisonment with hard labor. The extreme severity of the punishment for an attempted theft signaled the regime's true intent. The trial functioned as a mechanism to convert a young American into a high-value geopolitical hostage. Following the sentencing, Warmbier vanished into the North Korean prison system. The regime completely severed his access to consular officials and his family. U.S. diplomats and State Department envoys spent months working through back channels, holding meetings in New York with North Korean representatives to press for his release. In June 2017, North Korean officials delivered a sudden and shocking update to the U.S. delegation. Warmbier had been in a coma for more than a year. The regime claimed that shortly after his trial in April 2016, Warmbier had contracted foodborne botulism, taken a sleeping pill, and never woken up. For 15 months, the North Korean government had maintained the facade of a routine detention, successfully hiding the fact that they were holding a critically ill, unresponsive American hostage. The State Department immediately authorized an emergency diplomatic and medical delegation to fly to Pyongyang and retrieve him. On the evening of June 13, 2017, Warmbier was medically evacuated back to Cincinnati and rushed to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center for immediate evaluation. This timeline comparing North Korea's April 2016 MRI timestamps with the U.S. medical checklist highlights a stark diagnostic contradiction. American physicians confirmed Warmbier was in a state of unresponsive wakefulness, suffering extensive brain tissue loss consistent with severe oxygen deprivation. They found absolutely zero evidence of botulism. While non-invasive scans showed no existing skull fractures, the exact cause of his cardiopulmonary arrest remains locked inside the blank space between his March sentencing and that first MRI in April. With no hope of recovery from the extensive neurological damage, Warmbier's parents requested that his feeding tube be removed. He died on June 19, 2017, 6 days after returning to U.S. soil. The medical evaluations in Cincinnati dismantled the regime's official explanation. The physical evidence proved that a catastrophic brain injury occurred while he was under the total control of the North Korean state. The death triggered immediate international outrage. The highest levels of the U.S. government openly condemned the brutality of the regime. In response, the United States banned American citizens from traveling to North Korea, and the State Department officially relisted the nation as a state sponsor of terrorism. Seeking accountability, the Warmbier family filed a federal lawsuit in Washington, D.C., accusing the Democratic People's Republic of Korea of torture and extrajudicial killing. Relying on post-mortem dental x-rays showing bent lower teeth and an unexplained foot scar, a U.S. federal judge ruled in the family's favor, handing down a $501 million default judgment against North Korea. Back in Wyoming, Ohio, the local community gathered to mourn a young man whose life had barely begun. Over 2,500 attended his funeral. Otto Warmbier's death shattered any lingering illusions that North Korea could be a safe destination for Western tourists. His tragedy stands as a permanent,